Hello, welcome back to this long-standing video series of A Course in Miracles. And well, why is it long-standing? Well, we're going through the workbook for students. And when we're done with that, we're going to go through the manual for teachers. And when we're done with that, we're going to delve into the text. Yeah, there's always a next chapter with this course. Because when you supposedly finish something, by the way, this is true of all spiritual practice, isn't it? When we say that, okay, I'm done, then the teacher's best instruction is to present the book or the texts or the practices to us again, turn to page 1 and say, here. You ever had that happen to you? That's funny. That's funny when it happens because we think that we're at the supposed end and we're fully enlightened and can perform all miracles, which of course you can, but we don't recognize that we can. And even at the end of the workbook, you may recognize that you've still got some forgiveness lessons to learn. It's okay. It's part of the process. So anyway, when I say long-standing, that's what I mean. It's a journey. Okay, so in our particular stage of this journey in the workbook, we're on lesson 304. Right, so lesson 304, let not my world obscure the sight of Christ. Okay, let not my world obscure the sight of Christ. Let me not transpose my own shit for the vision of Christ. That's one way of putting it, right? Let me not put the world of illusion in front of my eyes, mistake it for real, and have it block the vision of Christ. It's what we do. It's what we do. So I want to talk for a couple of minutes here about the fact, it's the truth, that there's nobody out there. There's no one out there. What we look upon is our state of mind. By the way, the commentary here in the workbook for lesson 304 says just that. And we have alluded to this and outright said this in different words sometimes in various places here in this series of videos. What we look upon is our state of mind. There's nobody out there. There's no opponent. I said that in the last video, right? There's no one out there. Now, the world shows us plenty of someones out there, 8 billion humans, plus all kinds of animal and bird life, reptiles, crocodiles that'll eat you, right? Plant life, all kinds of things. There appear to be multiple organisms out there. They appear outside of us. Why we take the body, this frail thing. I mean, it may look hot, sexy to you, may look strong, may feel good and vigorous and have great physical health. Fantastic. This thing doesn't last. It's not who you are anyway. So what the Course is saying is don't deny what's going on in the body, right? With the body, take care of it. Why? It's a communication device. It is a tool that you can use to do God's work. You can use it to do the work of Jesus or the Holy Spirit or your guide or guides. You can use it to heal the Son of God, right? You can accept healing and atonement for yourself and extend love to all living things. Yeah. To do that now, right? What we're looking at is completely an illusion. The text puts it this way, which I actually happened to read this morning, and I find it quite poignant. It goes perfectly well with Workbook Lesson 304. And in chapter 31, which is toward the end of the text, Jesus tells us that we can either see the flesh or recognize the spirit. It's an important distinction, isn't it? We can choose to see the flesh and take it as real. This is my ear, not your ear, my ear. Yeah. We can see the flesh or we can recognize the spirit. That is another way of describing the choice that each of us has in the present moment to see, love, or fear, God or the ego. Choose one of those options, light or dark, life or death, self with a capital S, lowercase self, that's paranoid, frustrated, and afraid. It's another way of looking at it. And it's our choice. Isn't that beautiful? Is that not a beautiful thing that this is our choice in the present moment? Do we choose God or the ego? Do we recognize the spirit or do we see the flesh? Well, we can run from this choice. We can say, oh, yeah, I don't believe that. I'm going to go off and do something else. Really, truly, we can. We can delay as long as we want. However, you're watching this. You're interested in A Course in Miracles. In other words, you recognize, yeah, I've delayed long enough. I mean, that's kind of what I thought when I first encountered this material. Not only did I experience a profound relief that this is exactly the path that I had been looking for, which it is for sure, but I recognized, yeah, okay, I've got some of these forgiveness lessons to do, maybe a lot of them, right, to do, and that I'm going to choose love. I'm going to choose the vision of Christ. I'm going to choose the strength of Christ. I'm going to choose my self with a capital S, which is the self. It's ours. It's yours too. Capital S is everybody. Truly. So, yeah, when we're saying here, let not my world obscure the sight of Christ, you're saying, I want to see. That's a workbook lesson. Above all else, I want to see. You'll recall a number of the earlier lessons in this workbook, those that had multiple paragraphs of commentary, up to 1.5 pages to 2 pages of commentary, which isn't much. But these latter lessons don't offer a whole lot in the way of commentary because it doesn't need it. There's very little that remains to be said. So why am I prattling on for 15 to 20 minutes? I don't know. Because I'm actually called to, and we need to hear things in different ways, because something that I have either said in the past few minutes or will say in the next few minutes is going to stick with you. There's a reason why you're watching this, whenever you're watching it, because it's pre-recorded. It's evergreen. So whenever you're watching this, there's some reason why. And you'll know when you hear it or feel it, or both. So there is nobody out there. This is another way of saying there is no separation of any kind. What we look upon is our own state of mind. When we see pain, frustration, and suffering, that is an opportunity for us to extend love. It's an opportunity to forgive. When we see tremendous beauty, like a double rainbow, I saw one of those yesterday as I was driving around. We actually had some rain here in the Phoenix Valley. And as I was driving home, yesterday afternoon, I saw a brilliant double rainbow, beautiful light. That is symbolic of our beauty, of our abundance as Christ. It's symbolic of who we are. Everything we're seeing is symbolic. When you feel anger and rage, it's an opportunity to forgive. And when you see and feel great beauty, limitlessness, joy, happiness, it's an opportunity for gratitude, to extend gratitude and to give thanks. It's a beautiful, beautiful practice. It truly is. And we're blessed with many opportunities, literally, multiple opportunities every day, because this entire experience that we call the human experience, we refer to it as the human condition, is in fact a giant living, breathing laboratory for us to wake up. It's an opportunity on a platter for each of us to recognize the truth of who we are. This idea, Lesson 304, helps tremendously. The corresponding idea from chapter 31 of the text helps tremendously. We can choose to either see the flesh or recognize the spirit. Now, this portion of the text that I'm referring to goes on to offer some very comforting words, because we're obviously, even if we choose to recognize the spirit, and I hope that you may do that right now, today, even still, when we do that, we of course see other bodies. We look in the mirror and we see what we call our body. So it's not like they vanish and disappear right away. And the workbook says, of course, we shouldn't deny that we see these bodies. We're just asked to make the choice to recognize the spirit. And the text says, we leave it up to our teacher from there. It uses slightly different words. That's the gist of it. We choose to relax and trust. We don't have to know how it's all going to work out, because our logical, rational thinking mind yearns to know that. It wants to figure out a plan and have a diagrammatic breakdown of steps for how we're going to recognize the spirit. We're simply asked to make that choice in the present moment. That's the gist of this passage. You don't have to know how it's all going to work out. You just make the choice in the present moment for God, right? For Christ, for yourself, capital S, for your light, and leave the rest up to your teacher. You're not asked to have it all figured out, which is another way of saying, well, we really don't have to have all of our shit together, do we? Not in the way that we think of it in the world. Making the choice in the present moment is having your shit together. I mean, it really is. That is having it all together, because that is the choice that helps us to see with the vision of Christ. All right. So, as always, I've given you a lot today, but the workbook gives you a lot. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. I, for one, am deeply grateful for this self-study curriculum and that it came along and found me in 2013 when it was meant to. In other words, when I was ready. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. That's just one example. All right, guys, thank you as always for tuning in. Please let me know if you have any questions. Feel welcome to reach out here on my YouTube channel. And if you're tuning in from Enlightened World Network, thank you very much. Please feel welcome to reach out in the comments there. I do check those as well. And email is always a good way to reach me. It's Tomas, Tomas, that's the Spanish version, by the way, at tomasgarza.com. So yeah, best way to reach me there. And questions, I'll take them. I'm happy to record an entire video and insert it in this series with specific questions. And in fact, that's a great idea. I may have some Q&A like that. So, all right, I appreciate your practice and your being here as always. Thank you. I'll see you again soon.